someone to show me my place in all this.
Come on! This is not going to go the way you think.
Oh boy, what a weekend to talk about movies. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. It is December 15th, 2017. We've got two big releases by both Disney and Fox. It's not just a big week because one of those movies is the sequel to Star Wars, The Force Awakens, and the other is the new film from Blue Sky Studios, but one day before both of these movies came out, on December 14th, 2017, Disney and Fox were making news for other reasonings, as you'll see right here. This is officially from December 14th, 2017, and it was the day that the Walt Disney Company agreed to acquire big parts of 21st Century Fox for an all-stock deal worth $52.4 billion, or approximately $66.1 billion. Now, of course, the deal wouldn't become official until early spring 2019, but it eventually went through, and the rest is history. And I think it's important to start off by saying that I've been very critical of Paramount and Warner Brothers and their merger coming up here, but everyone probably is wondering, why haven't I been the same way when I talk about Disney and Fox back in the day? Well, for one thing, 20th Century Fox desperately needed the help, man. I mean, they were making really, really bad decisions, bad movies that were their franchises overall were really struggling, and they needed a fresh set of voices to come in there. And honestly, I know people are not going to agree with me on this, but trust me, you're not going to agree with me for much of this review episode probably because of what I have to say about one of these two movies, but it needed to happen, man. I'm sorry, it just needed to happen. And I trust Disney with 20th Century Fox more than I would ever trust Paramount with Warner Brothers, especially who's under their regime right now. But plus, so far, Disney has done a pretty good job with the Fox franchises. I mean, The Simpsons has never been more popular. Family Guy has never been more popular. Bob's Burgers, the Alien franchise, the Predator franchises are back. All these franchises that were just like lagging along when they weren't under 20th Century Fox has gotten so much better under Disney. And I know people aren't going to agree with me on that. That's fine, but I don't care. Like, I know it's like I feel like the internet just loves to be miserable. Case in point with the movie that we're going to talk about just a little bit here, but yeah, this was a big weekend, not just for the two new releases coming out from both companies, but the fact that they were making news in their own ways with this big merger that, of course, wasn't going to become official until early 2019. I can't remember if it was March or April, but it was around that time. But so with all that said, let's go ahead and get into the big new release of the weekend, which is, of course, Star Wars: The Last Jedi. And this is, of course, the movie where you started to see all the fan backlash coming off of this movie. And I put fan backlash in quotation marks because if this is really how nuts the Star Wars fan base is, then we've got a big problem here. So the movie did get good reviews, really good reviews, 93% on Rotten Tomatoes at the time, back when you could trust Rotten Tomatoes, and yet the audience score was 56%. So why are audiences upset about this? Or was it just a bunch of trolls trying to cause a stir? And the quick answer to that is obviously that it was a bunch of trolls because they basically ruined everything that was probably going to be great about the third Star Wars movie with Colin Trevorrow was supposed to come in and direct that one, but of course that never happened because the trolls got involved. Yes, I still blame the internet for ruining Star Wars, and it started with this movie here. And look, I understand if you don't like the movie, if you really feel that way, more power to you, but there are people that were saying that this was the worst Star Wars movie, when I'm sorry, Attack of the Clones still exists. Until Attack of the Clones is erased from our memory banks or someone makes a worse movie than that, yeah, you're out of luck on that one. Attack of the Clones is still the worst Star Wars movie. And worst of all, there were people that hated The Force Awakens for being a retread of the first Star Wars movie who came into The Last Jedi and hated it because they actually did something new with this. So what do you people want? Like, there are people that hated The Force Awakens for being too familiar, and so, okay, we're gonna do something different. We're gonna do something different, and we're gonna change things up here. And now it's just like, I don't like change. Everything has to remain the same with The Last Jedi. It's just like, it was at this point I realized that Star Wars fans are never going to be happy no matter what happens. Like, no matter what they do, They will never be happy unless they do everything that they want them to do, and even then they'll still be pissed. I mean, they are prone to be so goddamn miserable and just so annoyed at the fact of Disney ruined my Star Wars for me. It's just like, first of all, you didn't even like Star Wars when the prequels came out, and then all of a sudden, now that these films are out, just like, oh no, I love the prequels now. No, the prequels did not get better because of these movies. Just take a chill pill and just be grateful, alright? I'm sorry that George Lucas fucked up his own franchise so much that Disney had to come and make it great again. You just can't handle it. And yeah. And once again, I look forward to your lovely comments about this. I can already hear the angry mob outside right now. So we might as well go ahead and get right to the actual review. Star Wars The Last Jedi. And in Star Wars The Last Jedi, Rey develops her new discovered abilities with the guidance of Luke Skywalker, played by Mark Hamill, who is unsettled by the strength of her powers. Meanwhile, the Resistance prepares to do battle with the First Order. And I did really enjoy this one a lot. Do I think it's on the same levels as Force Awakens and Rogue One? No, not exactly, but I could still appreciate a lot of what this movie did. It's safe to say that The Force Awakens is essentially a retread of A New Hope, and I will say that too, even though I really did like that movie a lot. It wasn't the most original movie to come from the series, but the purpose of that was basically to bring Star Wars back to its former prominence after its reputation was tainted by the prequels, and it succeeded. It was a fun Star Wars adventure that was very reminiscent of the original Star Wars films, the one that we loved. Now, The Last Jedi works because they are able to now go for new turns, and that they weren't able to do with the previous movies. They can do whatever they want to do with it now, and there are elements taken from Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi here and there, but never to the point where it's distracting or annoying or ruining the movie experience as a whole. I thought the film did a very good job of blending in the lighter comedic moments and the heavier, darker moments. It knows that it can go for a more darker tone, but it's not afraid to have some lighter, funnier moments all around. There's a lot of a good balance between here and there throughout the course of this film. And I do like the little twists and turns that they have here that are pretty good. The best change of pace that I liked about this was the Kylo Ren and Rey relationship. I like the idea that these two are able to talk to each other through visions, and it does create some interesting conflict between the two, and the performances by Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver work really well. I was glad to see that John Boyega's Finn got more to do in this movie. Him and Kelly Rose Tran's Rose Tycho had a lot of fun moments in the movie, which once again was another thing that the fans of Star Wars got on because of Kelly Rose Tran, which, I mean, why? Oh, because she's a woman and she's what else was she? Kelly Marie Tran. I'm sorry. In my original review, I wrote Kelly Rose Tran, but Rose is the character she plays in here. But no, she was criticized because of the fact that she was a woman. B, she was also Vietnamese, and so the internet went completely nuts on her, and basically kind of forced her out of social media for the longest time. Which honestly, that's probably for the best overall. I mean, but she really was not that bad in the movie overall, man. It's just like some people just want to bitch and moan just to bitch and moan. I mean, good lord. The rest of the cast overall is really good. Oscar Isaac is really good as Poe Dameron. Andy Serkis showing up in full as Snoke is very cool. He's excellent. You know, another great Andy Serkis performance overall. In a really good year where he also had War for the Planet of the Apes as well. Mark Hamill was really good too, giving a great possible last performance as Han Solo, and you get to see Carrie Fisher in her last performance as Leia, and I thought she did it very well. The action and the visuals are nicely done. They do a good job of blending the CG and practical effects in here very well. Like, my favorite scene in the film is where you have the ghost of Yoda showing up, and at first, he's all CG, and you think, okay, here we go, they're gonna do a CG Yoda in this one, just like in the prequels, and then he just shows up in practical form, and it's a practical Yoda puppet. And they do a good job of blending CG and practical elements in this very well. The way they use the color red is impressive. That scene where you have Rey and Kylo Ren fighting the bad guys inside the Red Room is great to look at. I mean, it's a beautiful shot overall, and it gives the film a very unique approach overall. Now, there are a lot of problems with the movie, and two of the big ones right off the bat were specifically the new additions, Laura Dern and Benicio del Toro. You got two really solid actors in this movie, but they're not really given a whole lot to do. Laura Dern's character is given nothing to do except to just be a coward and risk the lives of everybody that's left in the Resistance by using up all the fuel on small transports, and her motivations are just not thought out well at all. But to her credit, she at least has somewhat of a purpose, albeit a confused one, unlike Benicio del Toro, who, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. He's completely fucking pointless in this movie. No, he serves no purpose to this film whatsoever, except to be just a sneaky, conniving, double-crossing jackass. There's no reason for this character to be in here, and this entire subplot could have been replaced, and you could have put more of Captain Phasma in this movie for this guy. And by the way, yeah, Captain Phasma's in this again, and guess what? Just like in the first movie, they do absolutely nothing with her in this. She's only in here for a small amount of time. I'm not even kidding. That's how long she's in the movie for. 10 minutes. I could give you the number of minutes that she's in this movie on my hands. That's how bad it is. Like, yeah, she has a cool fight scene with Finn and all that, but come on. Like, why are these movies so hesitant to not use Phasma? She's the coolest looking character in these movies, and they've given her nothing to do. Nothing at all. And they don't even give her... She barely even shows up in the last movie, too. And even when she does show up, she's completely pointless. Like, she's not... Like, it just makes no sense. Why would you even have this character if you're not going to use them? There's also some really odd moments in this that don't make a whole lot of sense. Like, there's a part where Leia gets sucked out into space after the First Order attacks the ship they're on, and you think, well, alright, that's probably where Leia gets killed off, because they really can't do with much of her anymore, because she, Carrie Fisher passed away the year before. But then she uses the Force to get back on the ship so somebody can open the door, and then she goes into this coma. And so she's had enough energy in her to use the Force to get her back to the ship, but she doesn't have enough energy to heal herself using the Force? I mean, you tell me how that works. I mean, I get it, Carrie Fisher died a year ago, but, like, it makes no sense why you would have that in there. But really, my biggest flaw with the First Order's big plan to stop the Resistance in this, you know what they did in the Force Awakens? They used a frickin' laser beam via Austin Powers, to destroy planets. But in this one, what's their big plan to stop the Resistance? How can you beat frickin' laser beams? Just keep firing at the ships until their fuel runs out. That's pretty weak. I mean, that's like Star Trek, where the big battle is just watching two ships fire at each other for an hour, except this time it's one ship firing while the other is doing nothing. You want to know what that reminds me of? You ever see the Family Guy joke where Stewie follows the fat guy around the tuba, and then following that, and then a couple years later, you had the Vine guys doing the same thing in a Walmart, where they're just like following fat people, and they follow a fat guy around a Walmart, and they're just kind of like, "Stop it already!" Like stuff like this.
Following fat people.
Would you stop that? Please! Stop.
Following fat people.
Alright! Enough! Stop it! Stop.
I don't like a lot of pranksters on social media nowadays, especially TikTok pranksters and people that, go into Walmarts only to cause misery. But back in the day, that used to be cool, and that's one of my favorite vines of all time. The guy just literally loses his mind at the kid going like, "All right, stop it, stop," and then cuts away. But that's pretty much the First Order's plan throughout the movie. Just keep shooting at it until they have nothing left. And in a Star Wars movie, that's pretty pathetic when you think about it, but despite those flaws, I still do really like this movie a lot. It's still a really solid, a really solid and fun movie overall. I do like the risks they take. I like that there was room for much darker turns while keeping the lighter tones in place. The conflicts are really solid, the cast is great, the acting is nicely done, the visuals are spectacular as usual. It's everything you can ask for in a Star Wars movie, and Star Wars was really... That was the point when I realized that Star Wars was back, and it's never been better at that point. I mean, I thought with the third film, the possibilities of what they could do with this are endless until the internet got involved, and I'm still convinced that they abandoned everything they were going to do for Star Wars Episode 9 because of the backlash that they got from the trolls online. And the rest is infamous history. Yeah, The Rise of Skywalker is easily the worst of the three films. Still not a bad movie, but you could definitely tell that movie was just running out of ideas because they didn't want to piss off the, quote, fans of Star Wars, which, I'm sorry, you're never going to convince me that the Star Wars fans didn't ruin that franchise once they did this whole BS with the backlash on Last Jedi, because they ruined what could have been a pretty good conclusion to this series and just made a third film that is so underwhelming and just so... I'll save it for The Rise of Skywalker because, man, let me tell you, you have no one to blame but the people that caused this BS in the first place, the trolls online. I mean, that's really what it all comes down to with the Star Wars sequel trilogy overall. But The Last Jedi is a really good film, and I really was hoping that we were going to get a great third film in the series to wrap it up, but just was never meant to be. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the other big new release of this weekend, our last film, and that is Blue Sky Studios' latest film, and that is Ferdinand.
Come on, little guy! Come on! Sorry, I almost killed you!
Ow! December 15th, rated PG.
Now, to be perfectly honest, this is one that this is probably the longest I've waited to see a Blue Sky Studios movie, because usually I'm there usually on the first weekend it comes out, or maybe a weekend afterwards if I got on vacation or something. But I mean, I always was there to see these films overall, and this one took me a long time to see it, mostly because I didn't really feel like there was anything about it that I thought was going to be anything that amazing about it overall. I mean, the animation looks pretty good, and this is, of course, based off of a series of the classic children's book, which actually was made into, I believe, a Disney short. So, I mean, again, coming full circle with the big news story that started that week off. But I'm glad I finally got around to seeing it, because not only was it a good movie, it was a really damn good film that I just really, for some reason, I just didn't feel like I needed to see it. But I'm glad I did, because, yeah, it turned out to be a pretty damn good movie. So you have the story of a gentle pacifist bull named Ferdinand, voiced by John Cena, who refuses to participate in bullfighting, but is forced back into the arena where his beliefs are challenged by facing off against the world's greatest bullfighter. And, I mean, you know, this isn't anything spectacular or groundbreaking, but considering how some of Blue Sky's later films have been more mediocre than good, I mean, yeah, every once in a while you get a good thing like the Peanuts movie, but they were really on hard times at this point. I mean, Epic, Ice Age Continental Drift, Ice Age Collision Course, Rio 2. Was there another? Was there one earlier in the year? I don't think there was, but you get the idea. They were really on a slump at this point. And truth be told, this was kind of the movie that you felt like was kind of them pushing themselves back into what they should be, because their next movie after this was Spies in Disguise, which is the last thing they did as a studio, and is probably one of their best films overall. But this movie was very good. I think it was a really good film, and it shows the potential of John Cena as an actor here. He does play this role of Ferdinand very well. I like him in this movie. I like Kate McKinnon. I like the rest of the cast they have in here. They got a good, solid cast, and also includes Anthony Anderson, Bobby Cannavale, Peyton Manning, Gina Rodriguez, David Tennant. Just a terrific cast overall here. It has a lot of good moments in here. Good characters, a very good script overall. Some good funny moments, a nice heartfelt moments, nice visuals. I like that. I like the climax of the film. Isn't your typical, you know, kids fighting sequence overall. It's a scene where, you know, Ferdinand is in this put in a situation where he has to face off against the bullfighter, and he just basically just stands down, and, you know, everyone sees that this bull's not doing anything, and, you know, the bullfighter's about to get him. You hear people around the audience going like, "No, let him leave," and then they all start applauding and all that. It's just like, I like that. I like the fact that it doesn't have to be like a big action climax overall with kids films like this. It could be something simpler, something smaller, and it works very well. You do buy into the chemistry between the bull and also the little girl. The little girl really likes the bull a lot, and you can tell that they are good friends overall. It's a really good movie, man. It's a really well-made film. Yeah, it's not one of their better movies like the Peanuts movie or Robots or Horton Hears the Who, those type of films. But it certainly tops a lot of their mediocre stuff they were putting out in this decade overall. And they put out some really lackluster stuff. I guess Rio's one of their better movies too overall, but then Rio 2, not so much. But it's in the middle of the pack. It's still one that is actually a lot of fun, and I'm glad I finally got around to seeing it, because I would have missed out on a really solid film overall. Not one of their best ones, but definitely one worth checking out if you haven't seen it. Ferdinand is one I would highly recommend checking out. And thus, with all that said, that wraps up another episode of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, it's Christmas weekend, and we got a big slate of holiday movies coming out all across the board. Some big blockbuster contenders here. Some big surprises overall. Like, when they announced they were going to reboot Jumanji, I don't think anybody expected it to be as good as it turned out to be. But we got Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hart, Jack Black, and Karen Gillan starring in Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. You would have think that a Pitch Perfect movie would be downright terrible, but lo and behold, Pitch Perfect 3 comes out, and boy, talk about a third film that did not need to exist at all. I mean, this is pretty much the Little Fockers of the Pitch Perfect series, because holy mother of God, this was a rough one. We also have The Greatest Showman, the Hugh Jackman musical, which, has a great soundtrack, but the movie, not so good. I mean, I think The Simpsons kind of summed it up nicely with whenever they talk about a great soundtrack for a bad movie. Good music, but the movie is crap. I mean, The Greatest Showman really isn't crap, but it's definitely not as good as the music is. The music is like here. The movie's right here. We'll touch on that tomorrow as well. We'll also take a look at Matt Damon's other big Paramount project of the year, and that is Downsizing from director Alexander Payne. The infamous bad comedy Father Figure, starring Owen Wilson and is that Ed Helms or Jason Statham? It's the movie that has one of the most infamously bad posters ever. But I believe that is Ed Helms in this movie. But it also is a film that features J.K. Simmons, Ving Rhames, Terry Bradshaw, Cat Williams, Glenn Close. We'll touch on that as well tomorrow. So we also have that. We have Steven Spielberg's latest film, one of his 2 movies we're going to get to in the next couple of months, The Post, with Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep starring in it. And is that it, or do we have one more? We do have one more. We have Christian Bale in the Western Hostiles. So let's see, what do we have here? Anything else here? Looks like that's it. So, a lot of movies to get to. Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, Pitch Perfect 3, The Greatest Showman, Downsizing, Father Figures, The Post, and Hostiles. I believe that is 7 movies overall. So we got a lot of films to look at for the penultimate weekend of 2017. So we'll cover all of that tomorrow here on the channel. So stay tuned for that. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care. Bye.